What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So we're taking a look at Mortal Kombat 1 early access here on the ROG Ally, and performance is a little hit and miss. I was expecting a little better, but I think maybe with the Nuvo being involved in here, which hopefully gets removed as Payday 3 just removed it from their game ahead of launch, and some other performance issues here, there are some hiccups, but overall the game's very playable here on the Ally. So let's go ahead and get into it and take a look here now. I am running off of the Z1 Extreme, of course. This is out of Army Crate SE, and it's the Steam version of the game. I'm running 4 gigabytes of VRAM here. I did test other versions that didn't really help me out, so I stuck with that kind of middle of the ground 4G on this one. As far as the settings, I'm going to be using 1080p native, but we're going to use FSR in here. Low settings, 60 FPS, VSync's only on for the screen tearing here in the video. Certainly turn that off if you want some less input latency. And we'll take a look at some different things here with the benchmark first before we get into real world gameplay. Now this benchmark is actually kind of useful because it is a little harder to run than a lot of the matches I've actually played in-game with story and invasion and all of that. So there's a decent little idea of how things are going to run. And you can see FSR off, quality and balanced here on low. And we do get quite a gain when we go from off to quality, much more than we did on Steam Deck. And that's because we're at the 1080p native instead of 800p. Certainly helps with the frame times a good bit and gives us a higher frame rate, which we want because I do want to be as close to 60 on this as possible. Balance does okay, but after that we do start to lose some of the performance gains as we go ahead with things. And you can see, of course, from off to quality is our most gained FPS. Switching over to medium just to take a quick look, and it's the only time we'll really look at medium right now. You'll see the similar thing with more gain going from FSR off to quality, a little less going up to balance. And that's because as we take some pressure off the GPU, just even though we're not really taxing the CPU necessarily, there are some optimization issues most likely in here that we'll get patches for, which will be great. But again, I see a lot of games with Nuvo that have a lot of issues as well, and again, hopefully that gets removed just like Payday 3 did. But you can see the difference in the average frames here. Now we'll take a quick look at the menus. They're a little funky and janky. I mean, no matter where you navigate around, you're locked to 30 FPS when you're not in a fight, but it will just have odd frame times and really dip sometimes into the low 20s. I've even seen like 18, 19 before. Character select will do that a lot, so just kind of be aware. It's nothing that really breaks the game, but it is some odd performance. And in Invasion, it has like the seasonal stuff in it. I happen to be at Johnny Cage's mansion kind of in the beginning here, and that's a 30 FPS cap as well, which is fine. We're not fighting here, but it's not the cleanest 30 FPS either, a lot like the menu. So hopefully that's something that can be straightened out as well. Locking it to 30 does tend to help a little bit, especially with VSync, but it is what it is. Now the fights inside of Invasion are pretty good. They're not as well optimized or don't run as well as in story. You would think same stage and everything would run the same, but it doesn't. However, we do see 40s and 50s here running this fight in Invasion. Now over in story mode, if we're playing low FSR quality here, the cutscenes are always going to be 60 FPS no matter what you're running. They're a pre-rendered scene, but they look fantastic in the game. A few hiccups from time to time when you're watching them, but nothing major. For the most part, you just get a nice 60 FPS cutscene. Transitioning from those into battle, you do get that 30 FPS cap again, which is a little odd as the intro, and then it unlocks again. Now, same stage here, 2 different characters, but Invasion we were 40s and 50s, and over here on story mode I'm able to actually push up to that 60 FPS, which this is the best that the game felt the entire time I was testing it. Anytime I could actually hit 60, it just felt fantastic. The 50s were fine though, but so this was interesting to see. Definitely different optimization or different things happening in the background in different modes that might affect performance. Now I did jump into online, but I'm not an online player myself. I come to Mortal Kombat for the campaign, for the story. I don't really play online, but I wanted to see what the performance was like, and it is a little rough. Frame times aren't near as good as over in story or Invasion, and we certainly get more FPS dips where all of a sudden we'll be in the 50s and go down to like 44, 45, and then bounce back up. So that's certainly not great when you're online playing, and this is with low FSR quality. I tried some other settings, really couldn't get it to stabilize. And this is a good spot to also show you that no matter what mode you're playing in, when you use your special moves or finish moves, those go into a 30 FPS scene as well, and they dip frames and frame times get messy. So, I mean, you're not controlling anything, so it's okay, but just be aware of it. It does change the experience a lot as you're going through the game here. Now over here on local versus, which is just me playing a CPU here for local or in tower mode, it's very similar as well. Just depending on what stage you're on is going to depend on if you're in the 40s, 50s, or reaching 60. It's all different backgrounds, characters, and modes that really affect that, but for the most part, depending on what you're looking for out of the game, it's certainly playable here on the Ally. If you're looking for just a solid 60 FPS experience though, that's not really going to happen. Not yet anyways. Now I did do 15 watts, 18, and 20. They weren't great, and I'm showing you 15 here. It was pretty horrible no matter what I would do. 18 wasn't any good. 20 was a little better, wasn't great. 25 or 30 is basically what I needed right now in order to run the game stable enough for everything to feel good enough for all of the inputs and to be able to really enjoy the game here on the Ally. So if you're not plugged in, you are going to be eating some battery if you want to get it all decent performance above 30 or 40 FPS here. But I think I'll wrap it up there. It is just early access. I do expect the Nuvo to be removed eventually, plus some patches and things to smooth stuff out. So we'll take a look at this game. Again, I don't want to judge it too harshly just yet, but I did want to show you guys what kind of performance you could expect in case you are looking to pick this game up to play on your Ally at launch or sooner here for early access. Alright guys, thanks a lot for coming to check out the video. As always, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.